Hello and welcome back to the Grape Explorer. Thanks for stopping by. Now today we're going to be talking about specific wine processes. This bottle of Malbec here notes on the back that it's vegan friendly, which of course begs the question, why aren't all wines vegan friendly? And what processes that go on in the vineyard and perhaps in the winery after the grapes have been picked make a wine not vegan friendly? And what's the industry doing about that so that more vegetarian and vegan friendly wines appear on the market? If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. Here we do wine education, product reviews, and lots of tastings. So vegan wine, a lot more popular than it was a few years ago, and more wines that I see, the bottles are starting to indicate not only that they're vegan friendly, but that they're vegetarian friendly as well. So the question is really, what are the processes that take place that would prevent a wine from being vegan friendly? You know, there's clearly no meat in grapes, except for Lambrusco, haha. But you know, once the berries have been picked and they've gone into the winery, what are the processes taking place that make something unfriendly for vegans? Well, it comes down to two processes really. You know, once you've got your berries into the winery and they've been either crushed or pressed and they're going through their fermentation, there are lots of byproducts that are being created in the juice as it's going through fermentation. So you have to imagine, you know, dead yeast cells, for example. The yeast has been feeding on the sugars of the grape to convert it to alcohol. And those dead yeast cells are then left floating in the wine that's being produced. And there has to be a way to get rid of those. That process to remove some insoluble objects is called clarification. So clarification, as I say, is the process of removing insoluble material from grape juice. And there are in fact a number of different examples of insoluble materials that you might find in wine. These can include dead yeast cells, fragments of grape skin, grape pulp, as well as seeds or stalks. All of these things combined with the wine are actually at this stage creating quite a cloudy liquid, which of course isn't going to be suitable for retail purposes. We do need to be able to remove all of these insoluble objects. And the process with which we remove them is called fining. Now, before I get onto the specifics of fining, I just want you to think about what's being created after fermentation when I talk about a cloudy juice. Yes, you've got your wine in there, but you're also going to have, like I say, some of these insoluble objects just sitting there, floating around, lots of bits and pieces in your wine. Doesn't sound particularly nice, and of course you need to have those removed. So the process of fining is a means of introducing something into the liquid which is going to attract all of those insoluble objects and make them a lot easier to filter. Now, the things that I've talked about there, dead yeast cells, grape skins, stalks, pips, they're all quite observable to the naked eye. But there are things going on at a microbiological level, which is why we need this fining process to take place. It's the fining process itself that is a problem from the perspective of a vegetarian or a vegan. Those agents that are introduced into the wine and are coagulating the materials are made from a number of non-vegan friendly, non-vegetarian friendly substances. So to give you some examples of fining agents, that would include casein, which is a milk protein, albumin, which is found in egg whites, gelatin, which is of course an animal protein, and then also something by the name of isinglass, which is a fish bladder protein. All of these things have been traditionally used for centuries really in the winemaking process because they were particularly good at attracting all of those insoluble materials, making it easier to filter the wine and leaving you with what we expect when we pour our bottle into a glass. But of course these are not vegetarian or vegan friendly, and this is why it's particularly important that labels indicate this type of activity appropriately, and they label when something is vegetarian or vegan friendly. Now, of course, the wine that has been created once these fining agents have been introduced and filtered, the objective is of course to remove these agents from the wine. There shouldn't be any trace of albumin, for example, or the casein, the milk proteins. The difficulty is because this is happening at such a microbiological level, there's no guarantee that these have been completely removed. And therefore, when you're looking at a wine in the supermarket, the expectation is, of course, that these agents have been introduced to the wine during winemaking to remove these particles and then have been completely filtered away. But of course, there's absolutely no guarantee that that's the case. And therefore, from a vegetarian and from a vegan perspective, it's therefore very difficult to 100% guarantee that the wine is going to be suitable. So in the case of my Malbec here, which is vegan friendly, what's been done when it comes to the fining process? It's through technological advancements in winemaking that we've been able to identify certain products that are suitable for vegetarians and vegans when it comes to the fining process, and are able to replace some of those more established and traditional methods. So in the case of a vegan friendly wine, there is a clay-based fining agent such as bentonite, as well as things like activated charcoal. These are, of course, contain no animal products, they're vegetarian and vegan friendly, and are used more regularly and would be expected to have been used in my bottle here. Where this is stating vegan friendly on the back, that's because one of these agents, bentonite, activated charcoal for example, has been used, giving me 100% assurances and guarantees that the wine that I'm then pouring into my glass has had no animal products in the production of the wine. If you're interested in learning more about wine processes, there are plenty of other available videos on this channel. But for now, I'll say thank you. I hope this look into vegan wines has proved useful, and I'll see you all again soon. Cheers.